Hi folks, well, as you saw, cables being made up. Well, you saw the first one anyway. I've since done the rest. Everything seems to be functioning quite nicely, so I'm quite happy. I'll just show you the clutch one, so you should be able to see it working quite nicely there. I think I've managed to get the cable to route so that it's not going to burn on the exhaust once I put a couple of ties on it. And really all the cables are on now, so that's another big job off the list. We're getting very close, but it's close. We're in a shorter time. It's Tuesday, or very nearly almost Wednesday as it happens, and I have Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and then I'm supposed to be riding this bike across the country. It's almost a touching distance, but not quite. So.
Hi folks, feels like I've never been away from the workshop. Late night last night, early morning this morning. Anyway, what I want to do now is just a quick video just to go through setting the ignition timing with a Magneto. Now, there's a couple of ways people do this. One is either setting the points just opening when a certain time before top dead center. So you would normally do that with the Magneto's advance and retard lever set to full advance. Some people set top dead center with the Magneto fully retarded. Now, I usually set it with the before top dead center method, and normally the figures you get for this in various sort of literature of the time is it'll be a certain distance before top dead center. So what you have to do is use a bit of metal, or a bit of metal rod, or a bit of wood or something, or maybe there's a proper device. I certainly have one for other types of engines, but that you can put down the cylinder and mark off where top dead center is, and then work out that distance before it. So we're going to go through this, quite brief, but just so you get an idea of what's involved. And it is the sort of thing that can be done by the roadside if you've got just a couple of bits of basic tools, really. So it's something you can check. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it, as I said, before top dead center. Now, I don't have any timing figures for this, and rule of thumb with a side valve engine, roughly this cc, fully advanced, it wants to be about 3/8 of an inch before top dead center when the points are just opening. Now, of course, the points just opening in the Magneto is the point at which it produces the spark. So that's why that's a sort of a critical measurement. So the way this procedure is done is once you've got the engine in the right place, i.e. the right amount before top dead center, you then rotate the Magneto, having loosened off the drive sprocket on its taper a little bit, just so you can turn it, and you turn it until the points are just opening, which you check with a bit of paper, and at that point you lock it up and the job should be done. And then you test it by rotating the engine through one complete cycle, so 2 revolutions, until the points open, and then you just check your distance from top dead center to make sure it's right. And assuming that everything's gone to plan, that's it, job finished, button it up, and we're away. So the first thing to do is to set the engine on the right stroke. So here we go.
So to get it on the right stroke, what we have to do is look at the valves. The side valve engines make this quite easy because we have an inlet valve and an exhaust valve. Now in the 4-stroke cycle, when the piston is travelling down to suck the fuel in, the inlet valve is open. So this one will go up, and then it'll close again once the piston's gone, reach the bottom. And the next stroke is the compression stroke, and after the compression stroke the exhaust valve will open. So what we're looking for is for this one to go up and down, so we know that the compression stroke is finished and it's exhausted, and then this one to open, and then when the piston gets to the top after that, it is on what we call top dead center on the compression stroke. So here we go, I'm turning the engine now, you can see the inlet valve's just opened and closed. So this makes it the compression stroke, but we're going to go past it. You'll see the exhaust valve open, lovely, come back down again, and then the inlet valves just opening now, closing. So we're now on the compression stroke. Now what you can't see, but you'll see in a bit, is I've just put a little bit of welding wire down the piston, and I can now feel that it is coming up, so it's approaching top dead center. So this is the right stroke. This is the stroke we're dealing with. We now have to move around the other side of the bike. I've got a bit of wire down the bore. I've removed the petrol cock from the top, so I've got space. Now if I turn it, you can see, well, actually you can't because my fingers aren't in sight. But if I put a mark so you can see that going up and down. The little white mark that's on, and what we're looking for is that to come up to the top and then not move anymore. And you can usually feel it. So that's top dead center. So what I would do here is get my marker pen, and in line with the top of the bore, the top fin, put a mark on it. So okay, the bottom of that mark is in line with the fin at top dead center. Now we need 3/8 of an inch before top dead center. So what we do is we get the ruler and mark off another mark higher up. So currently we have 2 marks. This is the top dead center mark, and because we want it approaching top dead center, I've marked the 3/8 of an inch mark above it. So pop this in. We run it the wrong way to drop it down, and then go back, turning until that mark just comes up and is level with the top of the fin the way we want it. So that engine now is at 3/8 of an inch before top dead center. So that is in the right place. This is the Magneto drive sprocket. Now what I've done is, well, I haven't fully tightened it up, but I've just slackened it so I can move the Magneto without moving the engine. So the Magneto will now turn independently. That's really important. Now we can forget this side and go back to the other side again. So this side of the Magneto is the business end, the points end, and this is the little wiper that, when it runs on the outside camring, opens these points up here. So the points will just start to open roughly here when that wiper's there. But what I've done is I've put a piece of paper just in the points. Now the idea being that when they're just opening, that paper becomes slack. So I'm turning this, it's not turning the engine, and I'm just slowly easing it round. Now at that point it's gone slack, so the point's open roughly here, but you want it so that you can only just move the points, and it's difficult because that's when the magnet is just pulling the most, so you tend to get like a little sweet spot. And it's about there. Lovely. Almost there. Perfect. I can just pull that. So that is the right spot. Now we go back round to the Magneto pinion. So I now want to lock this taper onto the shaft. And I could do it by tightening the nut, but by the action of tightening the nut will, by its own nature, turn the Magneto a little bit. So what I do first is I use a socket, and I just pop it over, and then I give it a sharp tap. Now that has just locked that onto the spindle a little bit. So I can now tighten the nut up and lock it into place. So that's now tight. What we then do is, while it's tight, it's not fully tight. It's nearly, but not quite. So we now move back round to the other side, and we just back the engine up by rotating it backwards, and then bring it forwards again to the point where we want it to fire 3/8 of an inch before top dead center. And the paper should just be able to be pulled between the points. Rotate the engine back a little bit, then in the direction just to where you want it again, so you've got your mark in your place where you referenced it. Now, will the bit of paper pull from the Magneto points? Let's have a look. Perfect. I can just pull that. Just one more thing. You'll notice that I'm tying the cables up with these lovely period rubber cable ties. They're quite nice little things. They work really well. Look, I mean, there's a nice one on the front tube there, and I've got a couple on the cross tube. Now, they're tricky things to fit if you don't know how, so I thought I'd just add this on. So there you go. This is, I'll just zoom out. This is one of the ties. It's a bit like a fish. There's two holes and like a tag. Now the way you do them, and I'm going to show you this using a pen. We're going to tie a pen to the frame. So the first thing you do is with the short end, you wrap it around whatever it is, like that, and then put the tag through the first hole. Now, of course, usually you're not doing something as thick as a pen, but it just shows you what you can do. So there you go. We have a pen with a tag around it, and that goes through. Now, to attach this to the frame, we're then going to loop this round and pull the tag through that hole, so it creates almost like a figure of 8. So here we go. I'll just do it so you can see it. There we go. So that now has created a figure of 8. This bit goes round the tube, this bit goes round the pen or cable or whatever, and what it does is it stops the cables rubbing on your frame tube.